Have you ever sat in a meeting, looked around, and quietly asked yourself, what am I even doing here? Not because you didn't belong, but because you just left behind years of credibility, only to become a beginner again. I spent 10 years becoming an expert, trusted, respected, and confident. Then overnight, I stepped into a new world where none of that mattered. Suddenly, the reservoir of expertise I'd spent a decade building felt irrelevant. And every morning, I woke up with quiet doubts I couldn't voice out loud. Did I make the right decision? Will they realize I'm an imposter? Have I just thrown away everything I worked so hard to build? It wasn't just starting a new job. It was something far more unsettling, starting over as someone new. And if you've ever been in that space, navigating a pivot, a reinvention, a shift that no one else fully understands, you probably recognize those questions. They're heavy, and they're real. But what if feeling unsure isn't a sign you're lost? What if it's the clearest evidence that you're finally growing? Today, I want to share what I discovered on the other side of doubt. The inner shifts that helped me stop questioning every step and start moving with quiet confidence. Because career pivots aren't just about new roles or new skills. They're about new identities and learning to trust the person you're still becoming. I vividly remember my first team call in the new role. I logged in early, rehearsing my introduction like it was a speech. As people joined, talking casually about data pipelines, machine learning models, and dashboards, I felt like I was listening to a language I didn't speak. When it was my turn, I introduced myself. Hi, I'm new to the trading data analytics team. I have a decade of experience in reservoir engineering. It sounded confident, controlled, but inside, I felt like I'd been dropped in the deep end of a pool, unsure if I even knew how to swim. Because back in my old world, I was the one others came to for advice. I led our global simulation efforts. I shaped big decisions. I had earned my place. Now all of that felt distant, like a language I used to be fluent in but couldn't speak it. And that's when the deeper question surfaced, not do I belong here? But if everything I built no longer matters here, who am I now? That was the real tension, not the new tools or acronyms, but the silent identity grief that comes when your old self doesn't fit your new chapter. And for a while I carried that weight quietly, trying to sound capable, trying not to need help, trying to prove, if only to myself, that I hadn't lost anything. Until I made a decision I didn't expect to have to make. I let go, not of my competence, not of my ambition, but of the need to be seen as ready. I placed my past experience quietly in my back pocket, not to forget it, but to carry it with humility. And I gave myself permission to be a beginner again. Those early weeks were hard. Tasks that came easily to others took me hours. I triple-checked everything, and my confidence flickered like a candle in a storm. But here's the surprising gift. Humility became my quiet teacher. It reminded me that every expert starts as a learner. And that starting again doesn't mean starting over. It means choosing to grow. I asked questions. I reached out, not just to senior leaders and peers, but to recent grads who understood the systems better than I did. And something remarkable happened. The more open I was about what I didn't know, the more people showed up to support me. That's when I learned something even deeper. In moments of uncertainty, connection matters more than competence. People weren't looking for perfection. They were looking for presence, curiosity, and a willingness to learn. And in showing them that, I started building trust, not from authority, but from authenticity. A few months later, something subtle shifted. I found a way to bridge the gap, bringing in insight from my reservoir engineering background to solve a tricky modeling issue on our analytics team. No one asked me to draw from that experience, but when I did, it was distinct and highly welcomed. My past hadn't disappeared. It had been waiting, like a quiet ally ready to serve this new version of me. And that's when it hit me. The hardest part of a pivot isn't learning new skills. It's grieving who you used to be, while making space for who you're becoming. Looking back now, I see 3 inner shifts that changed everything. First, choose vision over panic. When you step into something new, panic whispers. You're behind. You've lost your edge. But that's just noise. The truth is, you're building something deeper now. Second, let humility lead. Humility isn't weakness, it's courage. The kind that doesn't need to posture or pretend. The kind that says, I'm willing to learn again. Third, lean into connection, not control. You don't need to know everything, but you do need others, mentors, allies, even the intern who knows the shortcut you don't. And here's what sits beneath it all. You don't lose yourself by pivoting. You meet yourself again beneath the old titles and tidy resumes, and what you find is someone still standing, still learning, still here. Because this isn't just a new role, it's a new rhythm. And with every step forward, you're becoming the person you once needed to see. If this reflection stirred something in you, I encourage you to subscribe on YouTube, check out the podcast, and join the newsletter at thefacelesscoach.com. Our community is specifically designed for people like you, ambitious, thoughtful professionals navigating the quiet but powerful journey from private conviction to visible leadership. And if you're wondering how to practically prepare for a pivot like this, episode 13 is waiting. That one's about the plan. This was about the person. Until next time, stay grounded, stay brave, and never again shrink who you are to fit a version of you that's already outgrown. We at the Faceless Coach believe in you. You've got this.